Now I'm recording that. Let's see where we are.
The chances of that getting you canceled 100 years from now is zero.
Oh, yeah, 100 years from now, history will vindicate me.
I was about to tell you
Yep.
number 53 because I was looking at city lights, but it's number 52, which is modern times. It is wild that they're
Oh
just like
shit.
right next to each other on the list. So people have I think we don't have trouble distinguishing these films apart from each other, but maybe most people do because they didn't
I,
actually watch them.
They
give me
always
give
watch
me a
them at the same
month
time.
and I will forget which one was which.
I won't because I'll be like the things I like are in modern times.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would still prefer this one to the other one, but I'll get the names confused.
Hmm.
Ian, the num. Oh wait, Matt, I've already forgotten the number. Did you say 52?
I said two numbers. That's why you're confused. I did say 52.
Okay. In at number 52, two of us are in city lights, and two of us are in city darks.
City Darks? Is that the name of this movie?
Wait, what
It
is
is
that? A
not.
reference? Is that Batman or
No,
something?
it's a reference to the fact that me and Matt are in the daytime and you two are in the nighttime. I
Oh.
didn't think of
Oh.
anything in advance. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, in Luke, you and I in
You
Japanese
know,
terms are in the
wait,
countryside.
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
referencing City Lights, but this is modern times. You already forgot which one was which.
Yeah, I literally. I told you. Yeah, you got to leave it
Doesn't
all in
matter.
now before the number.
No, yeah, you have to. You have to leave it all in.
Where he's splicing in the end. But yes, it's Films and Filth. We're looking at modern times because we already recently did an episode on city lights. Forget city lights. Forget everything you know about city lights. This ain't your grandfather's city lights. This is modern times, the Bob Dylan album.
Um, Forget all the errors I had on my end on City Lights, which basically erased our guest commentary entirely because my stuff didn't work.
I tried to compress.
Sorry,
Um,
Alex. It's my fault.
but yeah, modern times. It's Matt here. Who's over there?
It's Mark. Wow. Wow. And the city darks.
City Darks Mark.
City Dark Mark. That's what they call me.
And
Um,
I'm. Which one am I? Am I Mark? No, I'm Luke. Yeah.
no, it's like,
Ooh, you're Matt till you changed your name on the
City
Zoom.
Luke.
Coming back, I think for a while on this one. Dorian Bowen, film archivist. When was the last time you did a film with us? We've been talking
I think
Twilight Zone and stuff.
it was Vertigo. So it's been a while.
Oh, it has been a while since you're here. Okay, yeah. Lots of Twilight Zone under the belt, I guess. But
Yeah, yeah.
you asked for this one. You asked for this, and I was like,
I did.
obviously, you seem like a good fit for this as well. So,
Yeah, I like this one. This is one of the chaplains that I would voluntarily watch more than once, like, or that I would revisit from time to time, like The Gold Rush or King of New York, like King in New York. I like this is at the top. I like this one a lot.
yeah. I definitely like Chaplin's not my favorite of the early screen comedians, but this I think this is the best one. I like this better than the Gold Rush. I mean, he doesn't need a shoe in it. He eats nuts in this one. He's a nut eater.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of eating in this one, and
there
there's a lot
is.
of weird forced eating that, like, it made me
Hmm.
think: is this something Mr. Chaplin was into? Are we seeing a little side of him
Well,
here?
Well, if we're putting the Gold Rush
when
in, he's eating a shoe there, so maybe he had
Well,
the
he's
weird.
starving. He's starving in that. And I think she's starving in this too, if you're talking about the
Yeah.
bananas. So many bananas,
I
right?
was thinking mostly about the feeding machine and the bit where the guy's trapped in the machine.
Yeah, he wanted lunch though. Is that forced eating? He just didn't have his hands available.
It was pretty forced. Like he poured the coffee through the chicken. Like that was the
That
funniest
was
part.
bizarre, but also wonderful.
We have to assume he is mangled inside though as he's eating his lunch, and
yeah,
he's literally in the gears,
yeah, as soon as you take them out of the machine, he falls apart, and
right?
then everyone has to clean up the guts,
Um, I guess
allegedly.
I guess it's a film I've seen about four-ish times. I would have come by it in the late 90s because I was full on film dorking. And this is a obvious signpost when you're film dorking. I've probably watched it two times in the interim. It is the Chaplin I've watched the most. I'm much more likely to put on Buster Keaton than a Chaplin film because the Keaton ones are actually funny.
Hmm. I laughed. I thought this was. I've never seen this before because I know that because I love like whatever factory machine gags, and there's a fair amount of that here. Um, I thought it was very funny. I think the
I'm
Great Dictator
not to
might
say it's
edge this
not
out,
funny.
but
I'm just like I actually like literally, actually have real laughs at Keaton's here. I'm like, haha, that's amusing.
yeah,
Very cunning of them to put this in the movie with modern times.
I I don't know. I think this is really good, and it justifies doing a silent film when there are actual gags, like sound gags within the silent film. Like the whole thing builds up to, oh, Charlie Chaplin's finally going to talk, and he just sings nonsense. That's it. When the recording of how to operate the feeding machine happens at the beginning, that was like shocking. I was like, oh my god. Um, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quite a bit better than City Lights, and maybe better than Great Dictator, even though,
I'll say it's better than
mm,
Great Dictator if you want my opinion.
yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
Because
of the three Chaplins we've watched for this podcast, I think it is my favorite. Before doing this podcast, I'd only ever watched Chaplin's shorts, and more so than thinking he didn't adapt to talkies well. It's more a case of, I think he was just better in short form. Like for the first 20, 30 minutes of this film, I was like engaged. And then I've had to rewatch it like three times because I always sort of got bored and stopped paying attention for the second half. So
well,
eventually I managed
apparently
to watch it all and actually get it. But
I don't have the exact references in front of me, but apparently there's a lot of bits within this movie that are very similar to some of his shorts.
mhm.
So it
And you
sort
you
of
could
played
chop
like a
this up
clip.
as three short films and they pretty much all work.
Yeah. I think that it seems pretty obvious to me now that the reason he was still doing silent films, and part of it is he apparently was like hand cranking the film in a lot of cases. I think to I assume they mean hand cranking it to like transfer it because obviously he was in front of the camera almost the whole time. But there was something about
No, he's just
he
that good.
liked he liked doing it. Yeah, he was cranking it with
He was the
something
original
else.
Mr. Fantastic.
No, he was no, but he liked hand cranking it because then he could change the speed depending on like what was happening. So, faster for wackier stuff and slower. But I'm starting to just get the picture that he's just a total control freak because he was working on this 14, 18 hours a day. Um there's a whole thing where I mentioned during Great Dictator that Paulette Goddard like made her clean the entire set. In this, it was like she showed up looking nice, and he dumped a bucket of water on her head. Like it's just you notice she's never wearing shoes, and the reason that is because she's the same height, so she has to be shorter than Chaplin.
The
No, but
Something about the
this
biggest
isn't
movie
odd.
star of the day being a short guy who's uncomfortable about it.
I'm just
Tale all
saying
this time.
none of that is out of the ordinary. I mean, James Cameron, like you could transpose anything that he was obsessive about on this, like mirrors James Cameron, and James Cameron is working now. So,
Hmm.
you know, but yeah, he also, she was also 22 years younger than him.
Mm.
So,
That,
Yeah, but she
yeah,
was older than any of the other wives he had because she wasn't a teenager. So
yeah, it's true. He is like Leo DiCaprio finally dating a 26-year-old recently. Like, good for him. Everyone has to grow sometime. I think the last teenager he married, he just stayed married to her. But anyway,
and now she's
um,
26. Is that how it works? I don't know.
now she's dead.
Now she's dead. Oh, we're not talking about the cat. I
Yeah,
guess
she wouldn't be
DiCaprio's not
26
related,
now.
is she?
She's 26 feet under. They buried her really deep.
Because I was like, Jerry Seinfeld's dating a teenager, but she'd have to be in her 30s by now, right?
Yeah, she's also dead.
Hmm.
Just
You don't.
kidding.
Yeah, I thought you were probably kidding. Dorian, what's your history on modern times? Or if you want to just go full big picture Chaplin, you do that too.
Oh, I don't know. I took like little notes. So, like what Mark was saying about it being shot at 18 frames per second and then projected at 24, that was, one of the things that he did. Also, he was really involved in the music for not just this, but a lot of his films. So, I think that's interesting to not only be a director, not only be a star, but to be so involved in the soundtrack is, kind of unusual. I don't see that happening too much even even in modern times, guys.
Mm. Well, I'm thinking of the Garth Marenghi thing where it's
Um,
like, music based on things whistled by Garth Marenghi. That's because it's like music by Charlie Chaplin or themes by Charlie Chaplin. Orchestration by Alfred Newman. I'm like, oh, well, there's the guy doing the heavy lifting.
what
Oh,
him
really?
worry?
Hmm.
No, someone quit. I don't have it right in front of me. The original composer quit because Charlie Chaplin was making work all night. In the middle of the night, he called him lazy, so he just left, and somebody else had to come in. I do think the soundtrack is great, but he was the same guy who worked on City Lights, and Chaplin was dissatisfied with the City Lights score, which I don't remember. So
I don't
maybe it
remember.
wasn't great.
I don't. I only remember the song at the end of this anyway, so I don't actually remember the score.
Great
It was
song.
fine, yeah.
10 out of 10. Love the song at the end.
Was someone who used to play a lot of shows, and Mark, maybe you too. You wrote the lyrics maybe, and you forgot the lyrics, and now you're singing gibberish on stage. I did that an awful lot.
I may have done that for other people's songs and felt kind of bad about it later.
Oh, I did it for my own songs. It's I have no rote memorization skills.
So did
I can
anyone know
usually
what I
remember something I wrote better than something from a script. I haven't done much songs, but used to do plays and stuff. Most of my Chaplin knowledge before this podcast comes from when I was doing drama at school.
Drama, not comedy.
Well, the lesson is it's like in Japan, drama just means live action. Drama
Yeah.
is just
Yeah, if you're in
the
drama
school
club, you
subject
are
where you
acting.
do acting and stuff.
Yeah, we didn't have a drama club in my school, and I think that I would have really wanted to do that.
Oh, dude, I'm not even talking drama club. Drama's a subject in the UK.
Yeah, we didn't some schools have that as a subject. I remember going to like my friend's uh high school and they did an entire production of Flowers for Algernon with like 35 kids in it in high school, and like we had it was unfathomable. My school had absolutely nothing. We had a football team.
I didn't do
Anyway,
it for the last 2 years because the A-level drama was only scripted work, and I preferred making my own stuff.
gotcha.
But yeah,
Improv
it was fun.
guy or writing.
Hmm.
I mean,
So
yeah,
I'm
writing
gonna
was fun.
throw out. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna
That's
say,
okay. That was a
speaking.
total tangent. Please bring us back on
Yes.
topic.
Okay, I'm gonna rein it back in and say because this is interesting. The original ending. I have like a flashlight now, so I look like I'm telling ghost stories. I'm sorry, but the original ending was that the tramp had a nervous breakdown, and Paulette Goddard's character became a nun and visited him in the hospital. So thought that
That's
was
kind of a
interesting.
better that's kind of a
Yeah,
better
but
ending.
he already had one nervous breakdown earlier on, like in the beginning. So I wonder if like they just put it in a different place or there wasn't a lot more context for that. So, but I thought that was kind of cool. Like, yeah, nervous breakdown. Why not?
Remember
Yeah,
how
I
much
guess
I
I
loved
saw
the
that.
Vertigo ending.
I think I do like the walking off into not quite the sunset, but walking off into the
Sunrise. It was dawn.
okay, sun into the dawn set rise. Yeah, there we go.
Hmm.
Back
More
when you could
hopeful,
own a
maybe.
house.
Yeah, mixing
If
up
if you
sunsets
did
and
this
dawns.
now, if you did this movie now, it would just basically be like the idea of owning a house is absurd for like tramps. It is beyond absurd. It would be like if I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna buy a battleship."
People do
Um,
that. You see
the
this on CNN sometimes. Someone bought this big insane ship and tried to fix it up, and then it sank or something.
At one
so I
point, Pepsi had the second largest navy on Earth.
Wow, the Pepsi Navy.
wait, wasn't John Kerry's wife? No, 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 no. That she was in charge of Heinz ketchup.
Hmm.
Never mind. I'm like
Ketchup,
trying to.
Heinz ketchup was the fifth largest navy in the world,
Yes,
and
yes.
then
They
Walt
just
Disney's submarine fleet was number six.
they acquired their navy just by like throwing ketchup at people and saying it was blood, and then everyone freaked out and they took all their stuff.
Like they
Um,
jump into the submarine and then take off.
yes.
It's
Speaking
mine
of the
now.
ending, I don't think this is true, but it says in November 1935, 3 months before the film's premiere, the American Communist Journal, The New Masses, published a translation of Soviet film chief Boris Shumyatsky's Pravda article in which he claimed Charlie Chaplin had changed his ending to a suitably more anti-capitalist one on his urging. The story was picked up by the New York Times, causing alarm among theater owners who were planning to exhibit the film. That's that's
Everything
But
published in
implausible.
back in the
Pravda
day,
was
you could
correct.
just say whatever you want because who can check?
Yes. That's insanely for a control freak to like, yeah, yeah, I made Charlie Chaplin change his ending to something that was more anti. I don't even think that ending was particularly anti-capitalist.
No, they just walk
No,
off.
in a way, that previous ending is more anti-capitalist, right?
Yeah, you're right.
The current ending is sort of semi-hopeful, like, well, we'll keep going and maybe it'll work out.
Yeah, it will work out is kind of not anti-capitalist.
Well, I guess I'll do the whole story. Then so we can get to the ending, get to the beginning, get to the middle.
In
Tramp
that
goes
order.
nuts in his soul-crushing factory job and ends up in prison. Turns out he likes it there. Prison's his mama. He is released after he actually does coke and stops a prison escape, but desperately wants to go back. He begins to try and commit a crime and claims the crime of an orphaned girl. When this doesn't work out, he sort of kind of tries to take care of her with him not stopping a robbery at a night watchman job and singing gibberish at a cafe, at which point the two walk into the dawn set. And that's where I was getting confused by what I wrote. I was trying to do Luke style there, keep it short. I mean, there's not, I mean, you don't come into a Chaplin movie for a story, do you? Come
Yeah,
in
I
it's
for a
think
not
this
a
had
crime.
not
a
heavy
story.
film.
It's not heavy, but I feel like almost
There's a
off the bat
lot.
it had something to say, which is
Hmm.
more than City Lights didn't have a whole lot to say,
That's what I'll say, what's
really.
City Lights about?
It's about someone curing blindness with fictional blindness cures.
Hmm. I forgot that. I just remember there was someone blind. I forgot they were trying to cure it.
No, they cured it in Vienna
You're,
or something,
yeah, you're right when you
where
bring it up.
everything's great.
Hmm. Especially in the 30s.
Yeah, they actually banned. They cut the scene where he's holding like a flag and then people start following him in the streets. They cut that in Austria for some reason.
That is one thing because we talked about the first 5 minutes of City Lights where it was a little political and like really legit funny, right? And this kind of like, hold my beer for that. It's like I'll take that and double it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it still does a diversion, couple of diversions that are refreshing. The whole department store thing. I mean, that had a bit of a message, but it was also just really fun.
Yeah, yeah, skating on the precipice and being caught in the
Hmm.
gears of the machine are
The Gears of the
very.
Machine shot is incredible. That's the one that I was talking about, Mark, when I said the early parts of this film feel more like Metropolis than a Chaplin movie. And you got the big muscular guy working the gears, and
Yeah, yeah, those were great.
it looks
And
like a
and
just a parody of like capitalist imagery.
I mean, you
But I
could
can see why people
definitely,
had feelings about this one.
yeah, you'd see the parallels between Paulette Goddard's the gammon. That's Have you guys ever heard the word gammon before today? I
Nope, I
hadn't.
just saw it in the credits, and I was like,
I'm not
I
sure
mean,
if
So
it's
it's a
gamin or gamine because it is French. So I always heard it as gamine,
yeah.
but
Google
Gamin.
told me it was gammon, but Google could be wrong
but in the
for
UK, a
sure.
gammon is what you call like a red-faced, angry British guy. Because like gammon is the a big like ham to roast.
Oh,
So like
okay.
you say someone is like if you've got like what those guys who go on the internet and they're like, oh, pronouns
Uh-huh.
and they're bright red in the face. We call
Alex
them
Jones.
gammons.
Alex Jones, the best gammon,
Yeah, Alex
the
Jones would be a
biggest,
gammon,
weirdest
yeah, but they're
biggest
generally
gammon in the world.
British. It's
Yeah.
because
Okay.
they've spent decades drinking pints.
Of course.
Just
Um,
as an aside, I just did another podcast on Rocky Horror, and I was starting to think like, what are the pronouns? And then I just kept saying proper names for most of the podcast because I was like, what do we call Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror? I'm not sure what the correct
I
pronoun is.
I think Frankenfurter is he him because he's a
Frankenfurter does
transvestite.
what Frankenfurter wants. That's what I ended up saying for the
Frankenfurter
most part.
says,
Yeah.
yeah, Frankenfurter says they're a transvestite, so I think they is completely appropriate. But I think
Okay.
probably if you keep saying transvestite over and over again, that specifies that you are not
It was just interesting
transgender.
because
Anyway,
Luke and I did a podcast on it 4 years ago, and it didn't cross my mind. And last night I was like, "Oh, what should I be using?"
you should be using weed to watch that movie. Um,
Probably.
yeah, yeah. So But yeah, you could draw a parallel between the Gammon's performance and Maria from Metropolis, even though they both have very different motivations.
Oh, I in my notes is like avoid redoing Metropolis podcast. Luke knows what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, and yeah.
Um, yes, I would also if the Gammon said let's go buy a house, I'd be like, sure, let's go buy a house. There
Yeah,
you
I
go.
mean, I guess she is one of the yeah, you start thinking
Take a
like
house.
Manic Pixie Dream Girl circa 1936, you know?
Uh-huh.
Which the real Manic Pixie Dream Girls are all from the 1930s as we know.
Well,
So Chanel can
Mania
do what
was
she wants, but
treated. Well, you treated Mania in the 1930s with nose powder
mm,
or something, or leeches, both. You give the
Or
leeches
leeches.
Coke. Yeah, you give the leeches some Coke, and then you put the leeches on her, and then she's fine. Yeah, I mean,
Obviously.
I think everyone was kind of crazy back then, but everyone also, um, they weren't staring at TV all the time or the internet. They probably read books. So in some ways, we're the crazy ones. We're the manic pixie dream. I don't know where I'm
I'm a
going with
Manic
this.
Pixie Dream
Um,
Girl.
we did go over in the City Lights podcast how the interesting fact that that was pre Hayes Code and this is post Hayes Code. So the things cut from this movie were the
Not him
first
doing
part
coke.
of the pansy gag, which is like the guy knitting in jail, the word dope in a printed title, most of the stomach rumbling in the minister's wife, and there's an entire brassiere gag in the department store, and there was a close-up shot of the udders of the cow when it was shooting milk.
Okay,
Um,
I
uh,
can live
uh,
without those things. And I
Children can't
definitely
be seeing
noticed
filth like that.
but he
I,
did coke. So like I think
yeah.
apparently they posit that probably they got away with the coke thing because they didn't call it coke and because he like stopped a jailbreak, which means that the drugs were moral and not amoral. I don't know if I buy that, but I guess it's possible. Like none of that shit makes sense. None of the things I just said make any sense to cut. Like
Ethical
cow udders,
cocaine.
ethical cocaine. It makes as much sense as not showing a cow. You know?
Yeah, and well, I always get my mind blown, which I'm going to look at again. How long was the production of this movie? It was something. Okay, began
5
preparing the
years,
film
I
in
think.
Over a year.
34. Yeah, began preparing in
Oh,
34. Premiere 36. Okay, it's not quite as insane as I thought. Somehow I got in my mind it was like 5 years or something. So it's like two
The
well,
years.
release date between City Lights and this is about 5 years, but the production of
yes.
this was a little over one.
Oh, okay. I think I was just maybe taping in the yeah, just the between movie period. So maybe Charlie was just chilling out doing cocaine for a couple years.
Um, I was interested that like it was apparently the guy at the factory boss looked exactly like Henry Ford, and I looked up stuff on that. Apparently, he toured the Ford factory in like the early 20s. So he had that, I guess, kicking around in the back of his head for like 12 years, which is
This movie,
interesting. I mean,
yeah, this movie does presage some CCTV, doesn't it? I mean, I
Mhm.
guess they don't talk back to
yeah.
you as they do in this movie, but you know, you do have people that can just sit around watching the workers. That's normal for us. It's not a
Is
weird
this
joke
the
anymore.
first appearance of the Star Trek view screen?
Um,
Hmm.
it's entirely possible.
Did
This feels
Metropolis
ahead of its
have it?
time. Oh, I don't know.
I don't remember seeing it in Metropolis, but
Okay, it
then
might not.
that also wasn't a talkie, so
I do twist my mind a little bit with this one in Metropolis sometimes because those early, you know, the factory in this looks very Metropolis.
oh, to go back to
Not quite as
Metropolis and
good.
also the talking in this film. The first version I watched was the one on YouTube, but it's in German.
Hmm.
But I was watching it for like 20 minutes because I was just thinking like, oh yeah, I heard that this was like only kind of a talkie, so I guess they're talking gobbledygook. And I'm like, wait, no, this is a German dub.
That's funny.
But the one on archive.org was in English, so
I watched it on Amazon
I didn't even
because
think to look there.
they own MGM, which I think owns everything by United Artists,
Mhm.
probably.
Watched it on
I
HBO
love that a
Max. They
small
have
number of
a
companies
whole
own all of our art.
Let Dorian
Well,
go.
Sorry,
same
Dorian, I just spoke over you.
Oh, it's okay. I'm always doing that to people. HBO Max is where I watched it because they have a lot of Chaplin, like a whole collection over there. So
I'm pretty sure you can watch it on Criterion Channel, which is something I should just start paying for because there's too much stuff that I want to watch on there, and probably a good chunk of good list movies.
Maybe he'll send you into the Criterion closet.
Yeah, I want to go to the Criterion closet.
What
I'm
would,
just
what
gonna,
would,
I'll just do a bit where I'm like, I'm out of the closet.
do you have any
I'll
obvious
just,
I was
picks?
trying to remember any
Yeah.
lyrics from that I could.
Well, can you give
uh,
us your top pick? You go into the Criterion closet. What movie you're grabbing?
there's RoboCop in there, right?
Ooh, there's RoboCop in there. Okay, that sounds like a
I
good
don't know.
choice.
I'm
That
asking
was like
that.
number five, I think, on the list. They did that real early, so
Oh, good.
as
Yeah,
one
I know
should.
Videodrome's in there. Videodrome.
Oh, okay,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Anyway, yeah, I
yeah.
don't. Now that I asked the question, I'm just like thinking of my answer. I'm like, I don't even know what. I haven't thought hard enough about Criterion. Sometimes I watch movies and it starts with Criterion, so I'm like, oh, okay. I still assume that it's going to look good if that's the case.
Putney Swope is in there.
Yeah. Excuse me. Uh,
Bless you.
you're welcome.
Okay, modern times. This we've hit the wall. So
I have some
what do you guys
facts.
think about the political alignment about these three Chaplin movies in order? I think this is kind of interesting. You can make the case that it's anti-fascism, but then enlightened centrism and now mild communism.
No, I think he is kind of the archetype of the sort of the American liberal centrism. Because yeah, he's
Mhm.
saying, oh, it's bad that people are poor, but if they work hard, they'll be okay. And like, oh, Hitler's really bad. But
Um,
like, so
yeah, even if he did Hitler's really bad like 1 year before it was cool to say Hitler was really bad, it's still it feels pretty obvious now. Like
yeah.
and you know, good on him. Whatever he was trying,
Like I think the
and he
start of
wasn't.
this film feels like it is going to go pretty communist, but then like we said, that ending that it ends up on, it just doesn't quite feel strong enough for me.
That's what City Lights did too. It seemed like it was going to have more strident, views, and then kind of after 5 minutes goes on and does other stuff. And I guess that's the thing with The Great Dictator. It was a lot more clear with a full-on speech at the end telling you what he thinks.
But I guess maybe he felt freer to do that because the thing he's attacking is abroad.
Well, also, can you really can you really like be concerned with workers' rights if you're forcing your composer to work like 18-hour days and calling them lazy and making your wife clean the set, even though she's, your co-star and dumping water on her head? It's and even you working 18 hours a day is kind of on some level you expect other people to do that, right? If you're doing I guess there's a case for I work really hard so everyone else doesn't have to, but I don't think that was in his head.
That's
I think
definitely
it
not
was just
Charlie
like I
Chaplin's
have
angle, I think.
no, no. um,
You could
but
be
I
on the
don't.
right side of politics and still be an asshole.
That's
You
also
can
true, yeah.
well, you can also. I think you can also think that hard work is good, but also not necessarily want people to be like indentured servants.
Yeah, I don't
It's
even know
like
if I subscribe to the idea that hard work is good.
I've been in little pockets in the film industry where I was working like, long days because we had to, but also when people I worked under were able to just send me home early, just like go home early and write in that you were here all day. Like just, they were still getting us paid. I
Yeah.
guess they were just taking money from other people, but still, um, yeah, I don't know where he stands on all this or where I stand on where he stands, but he's definitely the idea that he was a communist. He was definitely like scapegoated to hell
Yeah,
because
that's what I'll say.
Mhm.
He did get booted out of the country, so
I'm quite certain that he didn't like earn that.
It is like if you think about like Hitler loved his films and copied his mustache, the communists were trying to claim that they influenced the Charlie Chaplin film. He was like he was seen as so subversive, he was kicked out of the country. Like you look at Charlie Chaplin now and it's like, oh, it's the comedy man who does the pratfalls. And it's like at the time he was like the culture and
Hmm.
such a like huge deal and culturally relevant. It's kind of bizarre to try and see him in that light now.
Well, it might
Well,
also be that people were freaked out at the idea of that level of celebrity existing at all,
Yeah,
because you go back 50 years before that, who was that famous? Abraham Lincoln. Even like maybe not even that. You'd have
maybe
to
some
read about
writers,
Abraham
right?
Lincoln.
Maybe like,
Yeah.
I
but
didn't
I guess
think
we've gone so
Mozart.
far the other way now, where they try and wheel out Taylor Swift or whatever to
that's who I was going to bring up though,
they
because
they try and
until
wheel
the
her out to
past
support
couple
Kamala Harris or
years,
whatever, and no one cares anymore.
until a few
Yeah.
years ago, Taylor Swift was very tight-lipped about anything like political, right? And then so anyone would ascribe any view and be like, "Oh, she must think like me," and from any perspective. So recently, I think she's been a little
Mhm.
more outspoken because, you know,
I think she's actually always kind of said her piece. It's just that because she's blonde-haired and blue-eyed, the Nazis decided she was theirs for a little while.
Yeah,
yeah.
she also this is the same thing with Prince, where she grew up in the music industry. I think either her parents worked in the music industry or she entered very, very
She did
young,
enter very young.
where it's like if you really understand the music business, then you just say as little as possible and let everyone believe whatever you want. Prince
Hmm.
like did what, 3 interviews his whole life. He was I think people speculated he had like mixed parentage, like they thought he had like a white mother, because in Purple Rain, the people who play his parents are like a black father and white mother. Not the case. It was just he wanted people to believe that, presumably because then more people could look at him and see themselves in him, and buy more of his records. I think that's like really, I don't want to be like whatever, sell as much as you want, and you don't owe people shit. You don't have to like endorse anybody or tell anybody anything about yourself. But I think that was definitely a move that's like, just let people believe whatever they want and they'll love you more.
But I do think
And
Charlie Chaplin may be the first major celebrity where people could just kind of hang whatever their hat was and on, Chaplin's my guy. And in the 30s and especially in the 40s, he was kind of on a trip to define himself more, I think. Maybe that's where these movies come from. Uh,
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, when I think it's very, and it may be the same thing with Taylor Swift, where it's like once you get enough power built up, it's like, well, maybe I do want to express myself in that way a little bit more, and like, who could fault anybody for that?
Well, I mean,
Unless
I
you're
could fault
unless
you
you're
if you
terrible.
decide to take a
Yeah.
huge artistic empire and fund all of your money and power into trying to destroy the lives of British trans people.
Yes,
But
exactly.
if you just use
Um,
it to, maybe promote Kamala Harris a little bit, I've got some time for that.
no,
yeah.
I went into the brand new Harry Potter store in Harajuku. I walked in and very quickly realized I don't like Harry Potter anymore. None of this stuff is interesting. The only thing I liked was the escalator, which had a bunch of mirrors and it was dark and there were fake trees and fake owls, and that was cool. But the rest of the
It's
store, I
t
was like, there's nothing here for me whatsoever.
it's time for you to graduate to J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
Well,
I'm
we'll
not
get to that
even
in this
I'm not
podcast.
even that into Lord of the Rings. I'm just starting to push it on Matt because I think it's funny.
Well, we're
I've
gonna
got
do
an,
it here.
I think I'm the most Lord of the Rings pilled I've ever been in my life because I finished the books and then me and Mercy watched all three films in one day.
With
All
what, five
right.
breakfasts?
We ate all the meals they list, yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Like, I just appreciate it more as I get older because it was,
I'm currently listening to the Behind the Bastard series on Heinrich Himmler.
yeah, me
Um,
too.
and yeah, so they brought up the thing that he took a lot of the weirdo nonsense the Nazis believed came from the same myths that Tolkien was coming from. But Tolkien was like, oh, this is a fun fantasy to make fiction about. And they were like, no, this is real, actually. And this is our ancestry.
Send a platoon to Antarctica. It is.
Well,
This
yeah,
is
it's like
19.
Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Like people who take Star Wars super seriously are insufferable. People
Yeah.
who just enjoy Star Wars are okay generally.
That's why I watched all the Star Wars and I know a lot of the stuff about it. I never think of myself as a Star Wars fan because Star Wars fans are annoying. I'm
Um,
literally named after Luke Skywalker and I don't think of myself as a Star Wars fan.
this
Um,
movie, 1936, is kind of like I guess pretty apex of the studio system, but this doesn't feel very studio system. I don't know if that's because of United Artists or anything. So, Dorian, I want to throw that
Bingo.
question your way, basically. Like, what's going on
Well, the
here?
studio system was going talkie, wasn't it?
By 36, it's
Yes,
very firmly in there, yeah. So, how does this movie happen, I guess, is a question I'm asking.
to
Well, actually,
Dorian.
I was going to go back to something you already said when you were saying that this is like a time where Chaplin felt comfortable making a statement. And if you look back, he really started in the mid-teens. So here we are at 36, about 20 years after he got started with the shorts and In Silence. And this is his first film with, he was supposed to be an all talkie, but it ended up being a partial. And then from then on, you don't see too many more things that he's in. I mean, over the next like decade or whatever, like maybe 6 or 7 more films, and they all do say a lot more. Like they are The Great Dictator, they are Monsieur Verdot, or A King in New York, all those things. So this was something you said like minutes ago, and I'm like over here writing notes. But I think that that is a good insight that this is like when sound comes along, he starts to sort of shift gears in the things that he does and the things that he expresses. And that's sort of what put more of a spotlight on him. But he really was a major star from the teens and especially the 20s. So, yes, I can't remember when United Artists was formed, but that had a big, and the story of Keaton versus Chaplin. Like Keaton lost his power because he became a part of the studio system. He worked for MGM and they stripped him of the control. And Chaplin went this other route where he forms United Artists and he keeps all his obsessive control. And like, so the output that you see from them becomes very different. So that's just an aside, but I think that that's, bringing Keaton back in, of course, because it's hard to not talk about them both when you have such they diverge so dramatically into what they were capable of and what they were able to accomplish because of where they put their control.
Although I'm
It
thinking as a
says
viewer in the 30s, I might be like, even though Chaplin's arguably putting out his best stuff in the 30s and very good stuff in the 40s, he does have a washed up feel because he is only showing up every 5 years because he is so much like I am staying in my own driver's seat and not ceding any control. So I guess
But in
that's even
retrospect,
he
but in
was.
retrospect, you just see like the last 6 or 7 films are like really strong, unique things. Like in Limelight, there's one. Let's throw Keaton in again. But like, I think that, there's a lot of quantity in the beginning. And then toward the end with all that control, like, I don't know. I just think seeing his career arc is very interesting and very deliberate. And like you don't see too many other people who had that luxury to do exactly what they wanted, take 5 years off in between releases and really press for the statements that they wanted to make, which is one of the things that made him such a target when it came to, is this guy a communist? Like, well, look at all these things he's saying. That's coming from him. Like he couldn't be,
Mm.
mistaken where it was coming from.
I
I'm
think
just
on some level, probably anti-communist sentiment just came for anybody who was making a statement that was loud, that was
Yes.
not that was not a statement that was like God bless America, flag, hot dog, baseball, eagle,
Hmm.
right? Nationalism. It says United Artists was founded in 1919, so
Right.
that's earlier than I realized. If you listen to our Great Dictator episode, I went into a very heavy amount of skimming of the history of United Artists because there's a ton of it.
heavy
Yeah.
But
skimming. Ooh.
Heavy amount of
heavy
skimming is a good
skimming.
way to describe what we do here, yeah.
Yeah, I went deep into the speed reading of Wikipedia articles. Um, but that is super fascinating because that was like film itself was so young and it was this huge like change kind of up top and the studio system or whatever studios are change it's continued to change and it's changing now because Paramount's about to buy Warner Brothers possibly like something's going to happen along those lines so we're going to have some more titans merge but
More
um
mergers, yay! We'll have
for
three big media companies now.
yeah for the record the jazz singer the first talkie 1927 so that was as we
What's
said
like a
earlier it's
talkie
before
scene,
us and
right?
Yes.
I don't know yeah
It's
it's
not a full talkie. And for a couple of years, because the theaters weren't equipped with sound, they would release a silent version of a lot of those early talkies. So for a while,
yeah
it sort
makes
of
sense
straddled. And then they like pushed full through. And MGM was actually the last one to be like, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like in the growing up in the 80s, there would be a lot of times very few theaters were equipped with like stereo even. Like THX was, we hear about THX being developed in the early 80s, but it's like there were still a lot of theaters where there was no stereo sound at all in any of the screens
Hey,
until
you go
like
see
the mid
Earthquake in
90s.
'74, you're gonna get surround sound. Is that what they called it? Something like that.
Uh,
It's
I mean, there's
amazing.
always something. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen what is it, the 13 Ghosts in like Emergo vision, where it's like you get a
Ooh.
viewer, where it's like a viewer, if you're scared of the ghost, you hold the viewer up to like the red side and you don't see the ghost, but you can see the ghost.
Were you scared of the
And
ghosts?
Yeah, well, they were pretty scary actually, but
Okay.
I looked at them. So yeah, I've never seen anything post Great Dictator. But I am pretty interested. I mean, I know a little bit about Limelight and I'm interested in watching it, but
I would say there's something to appreciate in all those post films, but it is this 15-year period where he makes three films and all three of them end up on this top 100 list is
mhm.
notable.
well, the only person I can think to compare him to is James Cameron,
Or
Yeah,
Kubrick
who's made
maybe.
like three films in 20 years, and they're the three of the top four highest grossing films of
right.
all
But
time.
even he's
Yeah.
stuck in Avatar, right? I guess you could say Charlie's stuck in Trampland. Well, not for Great
Yeah.
Dictator, but the first two, I
Yeah.
guess he is stuck on his own IP for these first two. So that's a little bit like Avatar. I've also heard word
Well,
of James Cameron starting to like kind of intimate maybe I can just be the producer and actually make a few
No,
more
he
movies about
said that
something else for a guy.
he's
he's
going to
writing
direct the
Terminator
first three and
7.
produce the second two.
Okay, so because it's like maybe I make another movie, which I would like to see James Cameron do. I like Avatar. I'd also like to see him do something different after 25 years of Avatar, you know?
True
Hmm.
Lies 2, False Lies.
As long as he finishes the Avatar franchise and it doesn't end up ending on a cliffhanger.
I'm perfectly
Well,
happy if he wants to have someone else direct 4 and 5. I mean, hell,
Yeah.
the
I
best
mean,
when Lucas actually directed Star Wars, that didn't work out so well when he just
Yeah,
took
but
on strong arm
and I
producer.
hope
It
this
worked
isn't
out
too
pretty well.
controversial to say, Jim Cameron is a much better director than George Lucas.
Oh, I
oh
don't think
God,
anyone's
yeah.
going to argue
Holy
about
crap.
that.
He's a better writer than George Lucas too.
The other person I
Um,
kind of thought about was Spielberg in terms of he has a lot of free reign, but he never stopped being productive really. I guess it's been a
but
couple of years now, but he's always been pumping out films like every 2 or 3 years.
But none
He,
of these guys we mentioned are starring in their own films,
Yeah,
especially
that's
not to
true.
this extent. I can't think of anyone like
I guess
Tommy
it's the Chan
Wiseau.
Man.
Clint
Yeah,
Eastwood. He finally got old enough to stop being in his films. I think he finally stopped making them, but he's someone who is often
um,
directing and starring in his own films.
Hmm.
well, I mean,
And
you could say
others.
Stephen.
Chaplin didn't do other ones, right? There's plenty of Eastwoods he's not in.
I mean, Stephen Chow is a great example of like an heir to Charlie Chaplin. But the thing is that Stephen Chow, most of his early films, he wasn't directing. And then when he did start directing them, that period was kind of he made just a few films in a long time, and then he started directing other people and stopped acting. So he just sort of his like Shaolin Soccer and Kung Fu Hustle were sort of like the main ones where he directed and starred, and then he made that weird ET knockoff that wasn't good. But
Takeshi
anyway, you guys
Kitano
not
in
familiar?
Japan, he kind of walked that
Oh
ground for a
yeah.
while.
Well, he talk about somebody who had a lot of different careers. I mean,
And in Japan,
he has
he's
an
a
NES
comedian.
game,
He's
right?
still a comedian in Japan. People are like, "Oh,
Yeah.
there's Kitano. He's funny. He's a funny guy." Where if you watch his movies, that's not necessarily the case.
Well, he did a lot of comedy movies. I just don't like I haven't seen any of his comedy movies.
No, that's my point. He's basically a Japanese chaplain in Japan, but outside of Japan, he's
Uh,
like this auteur filmmaker of somewhat, like intimidating films.
I mean, Jet Li only mostly made comedies for the first like 15 years of his career, and he's only known in the U.S. for being a serious.
Yeah, he's the serious guy and Jackie Chan's the comedy guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And
no,
then
Jet
Jackie
Li.
Chan's first 10 years are not
I
very
mean,
funny.
I mean in like the Western.
Yeah.
No, Jet Li comedy films are some of the best. I mean, he's not as funny as Jackie Chan, but I mean, who is?
But yeah,
Hmm.
those first 10 years of Jackie Chan, you watch him and he's trying to be dead serious, you know? So,
Yeah, but he didn't
That's
want to
true. He
do
has
any of
serious
that.
ones.
Like,
mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jackie
Um,
Chan definitely gets an air thing.
I
Um,
feel like it the same way Dorian was saying you can't talk about Charlie Chaplin without bringing up Buster Keaton. I feel like you can't talk about both of them without then segueing to Jackie Chan.
That makes sense.
I think he is
Because
the successor.
I will go as
But
far
now
as to
no one
say
does
that
anything in front of a camera, so there is no successor.
I like Rumble in
I
the
would
Bronx better in City Lights. Is that a controversial opinion?
Oh, I agree.
no, that's absolutely true. I honestly feel like the West kind of just failed at continuing. You know what I mean? It's I was gonna make this parallel. Luke, you probably get this, and maybe nobody else does. Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the PlayStation 1, where it was a 2D sprite based game and it was huge and there was so much stuff in it, but everyone else was making 3D games that
Yeah, yeah,
looked
yeah. No, no, no. I
pretty
have.
shitty.
Hmm.
And now, what's now like Hollow Knight Silk Song just came out and it's like the biggest thing that's
It
ever
broke
existed,
Steam,
and
yeah.
it is a 2D sprite based game that's very elaborate and meticulously crafted. It's not a 3D game. There's no like polygons in it. So it's just like sometimes you should just keep some traditions going, or else someone else will pick them up and do them better than you've ever done them, meaning, Hong Kong. And that took a long time to, think about how much awesome physical comedy we could have gotten if people just kept doing it. Because another reason that Charlie Chaplin was brilliant in just eking out a couple more silent films is like when you think of 40s 50s movies that aren't fun to watch, it's like, what do you think of? It's dialogue that doesn't work. Right? It's always that.
Hmm.
um I'm not saying that I'm not making some blanket statement about older movies. There are a lot of old movies I love. It's just usually when there is like a early talkie period movie that doesn't work, it's like the dialogue really doesn't work. So
I never
shut up,
watched The
Earth.
Artist. How was The Artist?
I
Just
don't think I watched that.
okay, maybe that's a squibble question. Dorian, you ever watched The Artist?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked that a silent film could win Best Picture Oscar again. That was pretty neat, and it was lovingly done and beautiful to look at. So I thought it was a novelty, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Okay,
I
I meant to watch that, but I forgot.
it's in my pile of Blu-ray apocalypses. And last night I actually did eye it for a moment. Is tonight for The Artist? And I didn't put it on. What did I put on? I was going to
I
bed
was gonna
anyways.
try and
I
I was
think
gonna
because I
try and
actually wanted to
cram
pay
the
attention to it, so I didn't want to put on
yeah.
something that I like had to pay attention to, you know?
I thought about cramming the Robert Downey Jr. Chaplin biopic in today, but I didn't have time.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. That's what I ended up putting in, and I fell asleep in about 10 minutes. So
I can't see what that is
Oh,
because
Robin
Robin
Hood Men
Hood
in
Men in
Tights.
Tights, which I've not seen probably since it was like new. So um
I remember liking it.
I think Alan Rickman is so funny in the Kevin Costner one. I never have the urge to watch Men in Tights. I don't care about Richard Lewis.
Well, that's how you know it's a good parody if you confuse it with the actual original movie.
Right. Yeah, but Carrie Hills is doing the Errol Flynn thing. He's not doing Kevin Costner, which whatever.
Okay.
That's
I
a
don't
different movie.
if you had someone doing Kevin Costner, then it would be a lot like Leslie Nielsen in whatever Leslie Nielsen does, because
Hmm.
hmm.
Kevin Costner is
Well, he did.
basically what Leslie Nielsen is parodying
Yeah. Okay. Well, he did the
at all
Millward Cafore,
times.
didn't he? Um, Dorian, before we move on, did you have any? You said you had a few notes. Do we get to your notes or
No, I've got a couple of thoughts. Well, I have one fact, which is that this was included in the National Film Registry in the very first year. So when they established that and said, we're going to pick 25 films to go in this year, Modern Times was one of them. And so that's pretty prestigious. And when you look at IMDb and you look at all of the films that either reference it or spoof it or, pay tribute to it, like that's a big component of these films that have such long reach and are considered masterpieces is that they continue to pop up in popular culture. And so I think this is a good example. If you think of the feeding machine, or you think of the last shot of them walking down the street, or you think
Hmm.
of the him getting stuck in the cogs, like those are such iconic images that we have in our cultural memory that it's just one of those films that we have carried with us in that way. So those are my other thoughts. Just that, to be the first year of the film registry is a pretty big deal. And there are people who won't know who Chaplin is and won't know what this film is. But if you show them that cogwheel or you show them that last shot, like they will have some sort of faint recollection of something that they haven't even seen because it's embedded in our consciousness.
I feel like I've seen it in 1,000 cartoons before I saw it in this. And it's crazy to think that this came before the cartoons because it feels like a live action cartoon, which I'm sure is a cliched comment, but
That's a good point. That's a great way to describe it. Yeah. And a lot of Chaplin's physical humor is like that. I love this film. Like I think that there were a lot of laugh out loud moments for me. Like the nose powder is hilarious. Or, even
Yes.
like in that scene when the guy put the beans on his plate, but he wasn't paying attention and he looks back and he sees it and he looks straight up, like did it come from the sky? Like those are moments that I think are really funny. And they're quick little things, and that's Chaplin's gift. Like that's the kind of I really respect Chaplin, even though I love the soulfulness of Keaton. Like it's those little moments that really do bring out a laugh that I think is what's great about Chaplin. So I think this is a fun one. So I enjoyed watching it again.
I
What this film
considered. Oh, I
you
considered showing up on the Zoom call with like a corn on the cob attached to a drill and just to start like eating it, but then I realized I didn't want to clean that up.
yeah.
I'm just throwing out
I'm glad you
one.
didn't say I thought about showing up on the Zoom call with Charlie Chaplin's mustache.
Ooh. Hey, it's
Uh,
funny. Look at my mustache.
Haha. What this old chestnut. One more thing out of the IMDb trivia that I thought was pretty interesting was that one of the inspirations for the film was a conversation that Charlie Chaplin had with Gandhi, who,
I did see that and forgot to bring it up. Yeah.
yeah, he said, Chaplin told Gandhi, I grant that machinery with only the consideration of profit has thrown men out of work and created a great deal of misery, but to use it as a service to humanity should be a help and benefit to mankind. But as they discussed it, Chaplin came to realize that it was the first part of his statement, machinery that only considers profits has created a great deal of misery, that mattered the most. Gandhi had convinced him without even trying.
That's what
And,
Gandhi
well,
do.
now the machinery is just
Gandhi,
going to run
famously
itself.
the arch nemesis of Winston Churchill.
He's the arch nemesis of a few. He wasn't entirely great, but
No, I know. I just when
He's not
people
like he's
bring up
entirely
Churchill
great.
as like a hero, I'm like, he hated Gandhi more than he
yeah,
hated Hitler.
yeah. There is a lot of that's a whole thing.
I was going to throw
Gandhi's
out
not on the top 100
one
movie.
strike of
I
this
thought you were
film
gonna
was
say
his.
humans. Like, oh, he's not in my top 100
Oh,
humans.
he's not on my
Oh
top 100
God.
years. No, no, I was sorry.
Churchill didn't like
I'm
him.
talking
No, I
about
hate
modern
Gandhi.
times.
Sorry.
I'm talking about modern times that just saying like
Yes.
it's a film I don't watch quite as much because of its weird hybrid thing. Because I will put on like experimental films, silent films, Caligari, Metropolis, and I'll, toss on like part of my fun in there is like throwing on my own music, right? You know, hell,
Hmm.
Stan Brakhage films, they don't even have music. You got to play your own music over them if you want to do that. So modern times, I can't do that with. It's silent, but it's not, right? So it's like you have to watch this film with its soundtrack. You can't just like pay something else on top.
Hmm.
One more little thing. There's a Vatican list of films. Did you know about this, Dorian? This last Vatican list of films that
Mhm,
this came
mhm.
up in the trivia. 45 films divided into the categories of religion, values, and art. And Modern Times is here under art. So is Metropolis.
They're gonna put it in the
Uh,
basement. No one will ever see Modern Times again.
maybe. Well, also, previous good list films include 2001: A Space Odyssey, Citizen Kane. Oh, Gandhi's in there. Wow, it made it onto
Okay.
that list. Um, let's see. I think,
Oh,
yeah,
that would
It's a
have been a
Wonderful
better
Life.
version of this podcast. Films on that list and filmed on the Vatican's banned list.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Ooh.
I mean, there are a number of films that I love on this list that did
Films
not
and
make
Filth
it into
2, we're
the,
going to hell.
yeah,
Give me the
eight and
band
a
list.
half.
Does the Vatican have
Okay.
a band list?
I bet they do.
I don't
Man in
know.
the chair, look that up. That's what I want. I don't care about these 45 good ones you're talking about.
Okay, well, I do recommend if listener, you look up the 45 films, there are some good ones there. Let's see.
Give me the banned ones. Give me
Vatican.
banned ones. While
The
Mark's doing
Dead.
that, does anybody want to call it Modern Times Filth?
No, it's absolutely
No,
film.
fucking
It's
rules. It's
literally the
great.
like you, Dorian, you said it's in the first 25 of the
Oh,
cultural
oh my
heritage.
God. Oh my God. A list of films condemned by the National
The
Legion of
National
Decency,
Legion of
which,
Decency. Yeah, the
what
Vatican
the
doesn't
fuck?
officially ban films, but the
Oh, give it
U.S.
to me,
Conference
give it
of
to me.
Bishops.
Give me the League
Oh,
of
there's
Decency.
so many.
But
There
the
is
other
like
thing
a
about the
million of
Legion
them.
of Decency is that they could edit a film to then get a higher rating. So that's sort of a fluid list. Like, that might be one they banned outright, but in general, it had to be approved or they would tell their parishioners not to go see it. So it was an ongoing thing over the decades.
It ends in 1978. Like
Yeah.
that's the last year they did it. But just some of the recent ones: Dawn of the Dead, Taxi
Taxi
Driver,
Driver.
Ooh,
The
yeah.
Omen, which we've done a podcast on, JD's Revenge, which fucking rules if you haven't seen it. It's the blaxploitation horror movie. It's like extremely psychedelic. Carrie, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, The Wicker Man, Last Tango in Paris, High Plains Drifter,
Barbarella.
Pink Flamingos. Oh my
Okay, I'll
God,
throw it
Clockwork
out there.
Orange.
I should have done. Someone should have
This is
mentioned
a
do the Vatican lists
possibility.
No,
instead when we.
there's a lot of stuff on
Rosemary's
here that's just
Baby.
like French imports that have a
Hmm.
little bit of
Eight,
Bush in them, so like, I can't be
dude,
bothered to sit through all of those.
8.5 is on the Vatican list and the band list. It's on both of them.
When you said 8.5, I didn't know which list you were saying at first. So yeah, I
I'm
had a
dying.
little bit of
Well, that
chops
makes
there.
sense because he had a mistress, right? I mean, of the many things, he had a wife and a mistress in that. So I think that's a red flag for them.
8.5 is so nebulous that you could probably interpret it as anything you want, and that's part of why it's one of the best movies. Yeah, there's so many of movies I've never heard of from the 50s, and they're way more in the 50s
From
and 40s than
65
there are in
on
the
though, yeah,
70s.
you start with a pawnbroker and you're doing pretty well. The blow up, yeah, okay. This is a fun list though. Yeah, so once you get into the 60s, it's pretty
Well,
fun.
let's put a
Um,
big giant pin in this huge list.
Oh,
um,
one other thought I had on the film. Um, the guy in the second factory he goes and works at, where the other guy gets stuck in the machine.
Mhm.
The guy looks like Dr. Eggman.
Yeah,
he
kind
is
of.
the Eggman. You Google
That
too.
maybe that's the Eggman origin
I
story.
wouldn't be surprised. Like Chaplin stuff, I think is pretty big in Japan, so maybe Dr. Robotnik is based on this guy.
The
And
the
the fella in Spirited Away who pulls the levers.
yeah,
Maybe they're
Oh,
both based on this guy.
yeah, he's a little, well, he's got all those like things. Okay.
the
Um,
very first film on the banned list is called Adolf Strongarm. It's a Swedish comedy film about a professor who gets transported back in the Middle Ages.
oh, okay, different
Nothing
kind
to
of
do with
strong room.
anything else. Yeah,
That's
Different
when
different
Adolf.
Adolf.
that's when it
Different
was
Adolf.
just a name, yes.
1937, so it was I think maybe a little a teensy bit early,
They could
not
have had it
super
in
early.
mind.
They could have.
There
Oh
are
my
only
goodness.
three. Well, there's four one-star reviews for Modern Times. I could read three of them pretty quickly, so
I'll
I
do
could
it.
just bash them out here.
Go for it, man.
I'm going to go from the bottom up because they get more entertaining as I go up.
Mhm.
Awful and not funny. This is one Alb one, of course. I think people just like movies because there are comedies. It does not matter that it's badly written, very badly acted, not funny, just awful. From seeing this, I have learned why comedy movie and TV shows suck today. Because in the time of silver screen, they suck too. This is not funny. It is awful. So they just don't like movies, it sounds like.
Oh, can I do? I'm gonna do the last one if you don't mind.
Is that
The top
silence
one.
movies or most boring movies ever?
I'm gonna do. I want to do most boring movie ever.
I'll do silence movies.
Go
I
for it.
did watch this movie and not even a bit entertained. Charlie Chaplin was a just 20th century idol. Actually, I don't like any silence movies and even didn't like the artist. But I did watch this movie just for checking why even young people watching his movies in 21st century with a funny looking image. Yeah. Do we punch down when we read those? Because that's just like that.
Sometimes I do worry that we're just making fun of someone who English is not their first language.
Yeah.
Or
But they
something
did
else.
they did take the initiative to write an English language review of Modern Times, give it 1 star, and try to explain why in a very strange way. So
So are you
There's
saying they're
nothing.
asking for it, Matt?
a little bit.
There's nothing stopping someone from making a podcast that's making fun of our podcast.
Oh,
True.
So,
I would love to hear that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so most boring movie ever. this movie is really, yet it was so boring. Rinse repeat of the same thing. Tramp gets a job, then goes to prison. Yeah, there are some funny moments, and at the start I was entertained, but it got boring, quick, out of dated, and bad. It's just bad. There's no way this is one of the best movies ever made. When the tramp gets arrested for the third time, I realize this boring, repetitive movie for what it is. There's no way it's better than Apocalypse Now, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Reservoir Dogs, and so much more for it to be on the same list as them is a joke, a pathetic joke. The Great Dictator was good at best. City Lights was also good, out of dated, but good. I liked this movie, but then I quickly hated it. Boring, would not recommend. 5 out of 13 people found that awful. I can't. I was trying to read it like
They
no
are kind
punctuation.
of, they're not entirely wrong. There is kind of a looping structure to this film, which
Mhm.
probably is because he's better at writing a shorter story.
Yeah, it's vignettes, right?
So,
We
like,
noticed
It also
watching.
says
but I think,
like
I
I
mean,
feel like
I disagree because I think it works in this film, and it kind
yeah.
of shows how that struggle just repeats and repeats, and you never get anywhere. So it kind of works as part of the critique.
No, when we were
But I
moving through
can see
Disney,
someone being like, "Oh, we're doing this again."
yeah, when we were working through Disney films, like the first 10 all the way up to about Sleeping Beauty, we were like, oh, these movies really are just like 8-minute thoughts stitched together, you know? Like, because that's what they were
Uh,
doing. They made 8-minute cartoons. Let's stitch five of them together and give an overarching narrative, you know? So when the war started and Disney's, production went to war stuff, it was like, oh, well, now we actually literally are making compilation films for a few years. And then went back. And I'd say the modern ones definitely seem are a little more narratively cohesive, but they're not necessarily better, are they?
Hmm.
yeah, I really thought of it as I was watching it as this is an illustration of how bad things are, that he's just happier in prison. But now that you mention it, his arc was sort of just prison work, prison work, prison work, want a house, prison work, want a house. It's sort of or I don't know, maybe that is part of the message
Okay,
is
here's how we
that
make
you
modern
don't
times
have room
better.
for an arc.
We take him out and put in Bob Odenkirk doing Charlie Manson as the tramp now. That would he wants to go back to prison. It's his mother. He's got the eye of the tiger. He doesn't know who to kill first.
Sure, I mean, maybe the Gammon would be a pretty good Manson girl.
I would like
I
to
think
see
it's.
Bob Odenkirk given more film roles. So sure.
Have you
Mark, you
seen
just went to
Nobody
see.
2
I was
yet? Do
about
you
to
get
say
it?
No, it's not out here
he went
yet.
to see.
Ballerina just came out here.
Doesn't he
Um,
go to like Wisconsin Dells or something in it? Like he goes on vacation to the lamest place
More or
possible.
less.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
and then crazy action stuff happens.
Mm.
It's
Uh,
good. I think the first one's a tiny bit better, but
mm.
the new one is great.
I want the lame theme park though. I might like the newer one pretty well.
Just watch them both.
Yeah.
You will not regret it. But yeah, it could be a part of the meta commentary is that there's no time for character development when you're just constantly working and going to prison to try and own something, make something of your life.
I mean, I imagine the
There's
Great
no room for
Depression
that.
did kind of suck.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I mean, I guess the worst thing you
Insightful
could do,
commentary from Matt Comches.
The Great
but I
Depression
mean,
sucked, folks.
but Dorian, can you weigh in on this? Like, wasn't the Great Depression like fantastic for movie studios?
It was. Well, most of them did well. Well, actually, only MGM was in the black, I think, but it was good for the movie business. It was good for the dream business, right? Like it actually
Yeah.
crafted the kinds of films people went to see that were the escapism that we see today as being so prevalent in that decade. So yes,
Hmm.
there's a silver lining for all those billionaires. They did
Yeah.
Well, in the
okay
same
during the
way, I
depression.
guess I think COVID was really good for like Netflix and the video game industry because people were at home wanting entertainment, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, now there's a hilarious collapse of the video game industry
So
because
many cheap used gift
millions
Is
of
cards
it
out
a
there right
hilarious
people.
now.
collapse because of COVID, or is it corporate greed and
Oh,
lack of unionization?
I mean, the corporate greed basically followed you know, it was a whole bunch of intertwined things, but maybe unionization will there's still some hope where it's like they're like co-ops like Motion Twin that made their own game, but then there's like the guys who made Disco Elysium who basically were completely screwed out of everything they made, and now it's like unethical to buy the game or something, which
I
With
think
the
considering.
the West just needs Japan's laws where it's illegal to let anybody go if you're profitable.
I mean, didn't Konami still kind of do a bunch of? I guess they didn't like screw a
Konami,
bunch of
well, that's
employees
that. I
over, but they
mean,
just
the Japanese solution is you just bully people until they quit if you're not allowed to get rid of them. But
yeah.
Konami just like sold off its whole gaming wing, basically.
I guess just to bring back, here's a little more of a studio system 30s versus Great Depression thing. Like, did it suck to be part of that? The movies are great. And late at night, I last night I put on Robin Hood Men in Tights. I'll often get on YouTube and I'll just look for some pot boiler to put on and fall asleep to. And I usually
Mhm.
want the date to be 1930 something, you know? That's the flavor I'm looking for. But working there might suck. Charlie Chaplin screaming at you at 3 in the morning because you're lazy.
Well,
Well,
it's
that
like
was
you
United
want to.
Artists, but the guilds became for they filmed. Sorry, they formed the guilds in the 30s. So the Screen Actors Guild, the Directors Guild. That was when things were starting to be like, hey, these working conditions, they're okay for us movie stars, but for the average person. So that is the era of that starting the unionization in the Hollywood film business.
And then TV came and screwed it all up for everyone.
Well,
Well,
what they're.
the antitrust happened and then television came. By the end of the 40s, there were a couple of hits coming for the movies.
I mean, I can tell you from first-hand experience on the ground here is that like the film industry basically wholesale moved to Atlanta partly because their government, the state government gave them a bunch of tax breaks, and a whole bunch of us started working in it more. I didn't like seriously pursue a career in it, but I know a lot of people who did, and then they sort of picked up shop and moved to the UK because it's cheaper to film there for multiple reasons. And I don't know. I would hate to be one of the people who bankrolled huge studio complexes, but they do exist. They have been built here. I don't know what's going to happen, but
Yeah, I
But yeah,
feel
it's
the
like
funny
thing is,
how the
Tyler
Marvel
Perry.
movies went from here's Georgia pretending to be London to here's London pretending to be New
everywhere
York
else.
in the
Well,
space
and
of a couple of years.
apparently, it's very likely that DC is going to move here now that James Gunn is taken over because James Gunn likes it here. So it's
Mm.
just going to be, and I think what James Gunn is doing is a lot more like what
I
Marvel
think
has been
Superman
doing
pushed.
than.
I mean, Superman, Fantastic Four. I think, at least talking for me, I think pushed most of us. Like, let's go with Gunn now. We're going over to
I
DC for the stuff.
I enjoyed both, but Superman
I
felt
enjoyed
like a
both, but
real breath of fresh air.
Superman
Yeah,
was much better.
Yeah.
it's like well, like
When
back to this film, you know, oh look, a film that said something. Imagine that.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like they're sort of what James Gunn is good at doing is making it fun like Marvel was when they were always good, but also making it emotionally poignant and having a message. So but I'm sure they're not going to make like four movies a year.
No,
So I don't
yeah.
I don't know how to I don't know how to feel. I feel pretty cynical about the film industry as far as like why did people think that if it moved here from somewhere else, why did people think that it wasn't going to move somewhere else from here?
Mm.
Because that's they'll do it. You know, I know a lot of people in
I was about to
LA are
ask, has it
suffering
moved already?
horribly. A lot of people in LA are suffering horribly because a lot of like I think it's hit them even worse. Like more things have left. There still was a film industry there.
Universal is more and
And
more of just a theme park these days, you know?
yeah, well I'm trying to kind of hold my tongue because I don't know a lot of details because I haven't really worked in the film industry for a few years and I didn't work there much anyway, but you know, I keep my ear to the ground. But yeah, it's just any big gigantic corporation doing things is going to try to cut costs
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
and
you could cut the word film out of your statement about the film industry, right? It's
yeah.
industries tend to be pretty evil.
So the new thing is someone who used to run the Discovery Channel just talking about deleting entire films for a tax break, which should not be allowed.
Hmm.
Like it happened so quickly that nobody was able to react, but there are Congress people who are like, make them public domain because that's the only thing that makes sense. Don't like completely erase them. Like I think Batwoman is just gone forever at this point, but
Girl.
Batgirl.
I think it was Batgirl, wasn't it? We don't know. We didn't see it.
No, I mean, I don't know. Bat somebody. Sorry.
Catwoman, Batgirl. I think that's how it works out. Maybe she should
There
do
there
it.
is
is
a
Maybe
a
she
Batwoman,
should.
but
There
I
is
don't
a
think that's who the
Batwoman.
film
That's
is
not
about.
making a distinction. But yeah. Any
uh,
final thoughts you guys
no.
want to
There
throw
is
out
a
on
movie.
modern times?
I
It's
have one
called The
final thought.
Batwoman.
Isn't it weird that the word talkie feels so like archaic, but we use the word movie?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, we use the word podcast. Why is it called podcast?
Yeah, no one's listening to it
Is
on
it
an
a thing
iPod
nobody
anymore.
has? The only thing I have to say is the Batwoman from 1968. The plot
That's
summary
not
is
a that's a not a
Batwoman is called to investigate a whacked out scientist who is capturing wrestlers and using their spinal fluid to create a gill man.
I think I've seen that movie.
She's wearing very little.
Yes, I
She
know.
is wearing
It's
almost
not
nothing.
related to actual Batman.
She's wearing a purple bat costume. It's just there isn't much of it.
Right.
Bob Kane and Bill Finger are credited as writers.
Oh, okay. Good for them. Bill Finger, good for him in 1968 or whatever.
I mean, he's credited now. He probably
I know he's
wasn't
credited
credited in
now. Oh, maybe
1968.
that's a retro credit. Okay. I guess we'll wind it down. Dorian, you got anything on the cooker to plug these days, or you just hanging here?
I'm just staying alive, like in a non-BG sense. So no, nothing today.
If you're digging our stuff, I'll do the quick plug. Head for Podcastio, podcastius.org. Do Luke Loves Pokemon. Do a Call It Disney. Do Time Enough Podcast. That's where Dorian often is. And what did I not say? Monster Mash. I didn't say that. I didn't say Game Show. I'm going to stop saying stuff now.
I'm going to say something. The gross worldwide box office for The Batwoman, $504.
Hey, they made some money.
It's a Mexican
I wouldn't say
film.
no to $504.
It's a Mexican film, and I'm pretty sure that I would pay $504 to watch it because it looks,
Everything you say makes me more confident I have seen this movie. But
you should. I'm gonna say you should have seen it, and if you
I
haven't
did.
have seen it, then you should watch it because
Or
this
was it
looks
Sandos?
great.
What's that guy again?
It's
El
a
Santo.
Santo. It's a
Santo. Go for Santo before that one though.
it's it's in the ballpark clearly. Um, yeah.
Masks. That's a cut point. I'm cutting there. It's cutting. I'm not
You
recording
should.
anymore.
I could have gone on about the director of the Batwoman for like fucking 30 minutes. He directed a movie called Night of the Bloody Apes.
Mm. I think that might have been on the same disc as the Batwoman. I think it was a Something
I
Weird
think
disc.
I think I've actually seen Night of the Bloody Apes.
Okay. Maybe that was a
Anyway.
better one, and I showed you that half of the disc or something.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, there is oh no, Feast of Flesh is the other movie on that disc, but
Okay, that
I think
also
I've seen
sounds
it.
familiar. Yeah. Man, those Something Weird twofers are so cool. So
I'm glad I still have a bunch of them and
I'm
I'll
gonna
never
I'm reclaiming some next month. So yeah. I got some here too, but
So Dorian, are you like living up in what, Baltimore now
don't
or
dox or
something?
I'll stop recording. Ah!
Just